Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Tonight on Our News, the Ministry of Health taking a closer look at large gatherings amid COVID concerns. An uptick in COVID cases has healthcare professionals looking for solutions. And the sale agreement for the Grand Lucayan canceled. We'll tell you what's next for the resort. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, the purchase agreement for the Grand Lucayan Resort has been mutually terminated, according to Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation Chester Cooper, who says government determined yesterday that the deal was not structured in the best interests of the Bahamian people.
The issue of the owner financing for the redevelopment or the government providing funding for the redevelopment we thought was simply a no-go. It was a $50 million loan to RCL and the ITM Group in their subsidiary company, Bahamas Ports Investments Limited.
Cooper says it was a bad idea for the resort deal to be coupled with plans to develop a world-class port facility in Freeport. After an assessment conducted by a cabinet subcommittee made up of the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister for Grand Bahama, Minister for Economic Affairs, and the Attorney General, actions were taken to decouple the deal, allowing government to move forward on negotiating directly with other suitors for the resort.
We want to sell the property in the shortest possible time frame. We are committed to doing a deal expeditiously. We have at least 6 very credible potential investors for the property.
Cooper says the ideal buyer will bring experience, significant resources, and vision to the property and the redevelopment of Grand Bahama. The resort has already cost government in excess of $150 million. It will remain open until a new purchase deal is signed.
Grand Bahama needs a break, and the Prime Minister has asked this subcommittee to ensure that we move quickly to bring relief to the suffering economy and the hurting people of Grand Bahama, and that is what we will do.
Well, Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville expressing concern over a number of large gatherings and huge Junkanoo rush-outs in recent days. Dr. Darville says a number of approved events end up breaking the rules, prompting the Davis administration to look at adjusting protocols for the large events. Jasmine Brown reports.
The health minister says the fact of the matter is those large gatherings in recent days has not gone unnoticed by officials, and they plan on discussing it in cabinet today.
We will be discussing some of those concerns today in cabinet, and possibly that may lead to some adjustments on the way how we move forward with large gatherings.
Over the weekend, social media was flooded with pictures and videos of events showing large crowds of unmasked revelers, prompting some to ask how parties are granted approval and not the Christmas carnival. There have also been Junkanoo rushouts. Dr. Darville says events that break the protocols are a major concern.
For us, large gatherings is always a potential for community spread and super spread events. For us at the Ministry of Health, we are trying our endeavor best. It's a very difficult thing to do, to juggle the economy while at the same time handle protocols. But one of the things we've been noticing is that when we do approve an event and we give the necessary protocols, sometimes when we look back at the event, many of the protocols were not adhered to, and that is of great concern.
The Health and Wellness Minister says the last thing the Bahamas needs is a cluster of super spreader events, particularly with the new Omicron variant spreading rapidly across the globe. With rising COVID cases locally and globally, Dr. Darville is also warning residents to brace for the possibility of a fourth wave. He's not the only healthcare expert issuing the warning.
The Omicron virus is roaming wild. Many countries where our tourists come from, and when we look at the state of Florida, we see the cases are going up there. We are concerned, and we are now in deep discussions to adjust some of our protocols to ensure that we are able to deal with issues at our borders while at the same time prevent community spread within the country.
In the last week, COVID cases and hospitalizations have increased. Between December 12th and 19th, 230 new cases were confirmed in the Bahamas. Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Amid an uptick in COVID cases, healthcare professionals are also expressing concern over the already strained public healthcare system. Kyle Joaquin has the story.
Given the state of the public healthcare system, the CPSA president says what health professionals do not want is what occurred within the last 2 waves.
We needed more staff, but we also lost staff.
With concerns growing over whether the Bahamas is on the cusp of a 4th wave of COVID cases, there was also concern over the dwindling number of doctors and nurses. During the 3rd wave of cases just a few months back, the public healthcare system was said to be on the brink of collapse. The shortage of doctors and nurses didn't help. But as health officials monitor the uptick in cases, Consultant Physician Staff Association President Dr. Sabrika Pinda-Butler says the shortage of nurses and doctors is still a serious issue.
By and large, even if you get more persons, but you're still losing staff. Nurses are being recruited. Physicians have also left for different reasons. It's challenging times all around. So, that in itself is a delicate balance.
The nursing shortage in the country has been described as severe in recent weeks, with Health Minister Dr. Michael Darwell saying government is looking to hire 30 specialty nurses. And now health officials are concerned about the country's healthcare system and whether it can handle a 4th wave of cases.
We've been managing COVID as best as we can during this time. It is hard. So I know that we will manage. The key is just how well will we be able to manage.
The 3rd wave of cases saw many deaths in the country, with the morgue overcapacity and an overflow of patients into hospital hallways. Pinda-Butler is encouraging more Bahamians to be mindful of the need for more personal responsibility, as the hospital has to deal with much more than just COVID.
We manage high blood pressure, diabetes, we manage accidents, we manage broken bones, we do it all. So when our system starts to become overwhelmed, it then doesn't allow us to do all the things that we would like to do to safely provide the best health care for our population.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism and Aviation Chester Cooper is reacting to the Ministry of Health's announcement that the U.S. Centers for Disease Control has lowered the Bahamas level to level 2 on their travel advisory list. Cooper says the new ranking will give the tourism industry a much-needed boost.
This is good news. A downgrade in terms of the threat level, but an upgrade in terms of tourism. The reality of where we are at the moment is we are able to attract even stronger numbers as a result of this change.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness said last night the CDC lowered the Bahamas from a level 3 to a level 2 on its travel health advisory notice. The Bahamas, however, remained on a level 3 alert on the CDC's website up to 2 p.m. today. According to the CDC, level 2 ranked countries have a moderate level of COVID cases.
This is an indication to the world that we are open for business and we have good protocols. Now, with the new variant coming, which I know is your next question, we ought not to be lulled to sleep by this improvement in our grading by the CDC. We should stay vigilant. We should follow the protocols. We should avoid large parties and large gatherings.
Well, a man wanted for murder was shot and killed by police in Hunter's, Grand Bahama early Tuesday morning. ASP Stephen Roll says police were acting on information when they arrived at the settlement and were led to the rear of an orange wooden home.
Upon the officer's arrival at that residence, the wanted suspect emerged from inside the residence, and upon seeing the officers, he produced a firearm, pointed the firearm in their direction.
That's when Roll says officers were in fear of their lives, leading them to discharge their firearms, fatally injuring the wanted man. A pool of blood stands next to a pile of trash. A blood-covered bullet remained at the scene. Roll tells our news the man, who we understand is 28-year-old Drexton Bellany, was wanted for murder.
That individual is also wanted for a number of shootings in the Grand Bahama area, and the police have the matter under active investigation. He is known to the police, but we cannot say his name at the time until he's been officially identified.
A 9mm pistol was recovered from the scene with a number of live rounds of ammunition.
No officers were injured in the incident. To say exactly if shots were fired at the time, I can't speak at this point. like I said, it's still in the first stage of the investigation.
A second man was handcuffed and detained by police.
It goes to show us when you challenge the police and put their lives in fear while they are performing their duties, this may possibly be the end result. Whomever found assisting any one of the persons in the Bahamas, if you are caught, and once you are caught, you'll be dealt with in the strictest possible manner.
Well, a chance of thunderstorms tonight. Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks, Christine, and welcome everybody for your first look at weather on this Tuesday evening. Watching a frontal boundary moving across Florida, bringing in some clouds. So we're looking at cloudy conditions outside our studios right now. Temperatures are in the upper 70s. Southwest wind at 9 miles per hour. Those winds are gusting at times as we have some showers lurking in the neighborhood. Your feels-like temperature in the upper 70s. Satellite view, that frontal boundary now pressing across South Florida and into the northwest Bahamas. Cloudy conditions associated with that. Some showers and thunderstorms in that front. We expect that front to go through tonight with more showers in the forecast. Improving conditions expected through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, disengaged resort employees to be paid by NIB. And a little later, no plans to revise cruise ship protocols after dozens of positive COVID cases on one ship. That's coming up when our news returns.
'Twas the night before Christmas, but there was no magic here. So Santa called Rev to add holiday cheer. First the TV lit up with faves old and new. Then Eero came alive, spreading joy to Mom too. With smiles and kisses on connections so clear. Rev brought good wishes from friends far and near. Then suddenly, Christmas was merry and true. Rev delivers real magic and more Christmas to you.
The National Insurance Board will pay out a total of $250,000 to disengaged Atlantis workers. State Minister with responsibility for NIB, Miles LaRota, says the decision to pay each worker $500 was recently made by the Davis administration.
The government has made a decision that they will, notwithstanding that these individuals would have fall outside of the qualifications, that those stimulus would be paid to those individuals. We think that it affects around 400 to 450 people.
As for when they will receive their payments, LaRota promises they will have the money before Christmas.
They will receive their funds no later than 12 o'clock on Friday. The process, approval has already been sent to the National Insurance Board, and the process already have begun to ensure that those affected individuals receive their funds before Christmas.
Last month, Bahamas Hotel Catering and Allied Workers Union President Darren Woods said there was quite a bit of Atlantis workers who remain furloughed. Well, scores of people packed the grounds of the Sports Center on Tuesday to get their hands on a grocery store voucher ahead of the Christmas holidays. Bethany McDermott was there and has this report.
It was a mad rush Tuesday morning as residents came from all corners of the island for grocery store vouchers today. Cars lined University Boulevard, blocking traffic as far as Bahamas Games Boulevard to the east and JFK Highway to the west. Fox Foundation founder Adrian Fox says he wanted to help those who have come up on hard times.
People need help, and especially around Christmas time, it's good to give back as well. And a food drive is very important because people need to put food on their tables in this in Christmas time.
Those who pulled up not only received the food vouchers but were given bags with a few goodies. Fox Foundation co-founder Adriana Fox says the foundation was prepared to give out $250,000 in vouchers this morning and $100,000 in vouchers to Camp Road youths later on.
I think it's about 6,000 vouchers. I printed off today, about 250K, and that's only for the food vouchers. We're actually going in Camp Road today at 2 o'clock, and we're going to do kids vouchers from the Sports Center and Kelly's, where we give each kid $50 voucher either from Sports Center or Kelly's.
Residents tell our news they're grateful for the help. While it was a drive-through event, some even came by foot in hopes of collecting a care package.
I'm very happy, very elated about it. At least he's doing something. That's a help.
Does this come in a good time considering it's the Christmas time?
Of course, and I just had a birthday, so yes. And my grandson's birthday is today. It is that you get it, you need it. And that's why I'm here. I walk here.
You walk here?
Yes, sir. That's right off it.
The initiative comes as many are still recovering from the impact of the global pandemic. Meanwhile, Fox is urging corporate Bahamas to give back to the community.
I'd like for them to get more involved in trying to help the poor man out in this country because, we all need help, and you can't be making money off the backs of these poor people and then don't give back.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
When our news comes back from the break, what the Minister of Health has to say about a recent outbreak of COVID on a cruise through the Bahamas. Plus, why the Bahamas won't be reordering one particular COVID vaccine. Stay with us.
'Twas the night before Christmas, but there was no magic here. So Santa called Rev to add holiday cheer. First the TV lit up with faves old and new. Then Eero came alive, spreading joy to Mom too. With smiles and kisses on connection so clear, Rev brought good wishes from friends far and near. Then suddenly, Christmas was merry and true. Rev delivers real magic and more Christmas to you.
This is Our News. Welcome back. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville is expressing confidence in the cruise ship industry's ability to operate in the pandemic. Darville's optimism comes as he responded to a COVID outbreak on a Royal Caribbean ship that recently docked at a private island here in the Bahamas.
In the early stages of me being minister, we had the opportunity to visit just about every cruise ship. We went on all the keys, and I'm very pleased that the cruise ship industry have a very robust protocol in managing COVID cases. They have multiple negative pressure rooms on board their vessels. They have a really strong contact surveillance techniques, and they have the physicians on board. And so we are quite pleased. Based on the regulations that we put in place with the cruise ships, we believe that they are capable to handle their cases.
U.S. media reported that 48 passengers and crew members tested positive for COVID-19 on Royal Caribbean Symphony of the Seas ship, which docked in Miami on Saturday. In a statement on Sunday, Royal Caribbean said each person who tested positive was immediately quarantined.
We know that that same vessel stopped in Coco Key. When it arrived in Coco Key, there was a report that there was 23 people on board who were in isolation.
Meanwhile, it's very unlikely that the Davis administration will acquire more Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccines, according to Dr. Darville. Darville says while the J&J vaccine is effective, local interest in J&J has been slow.
For us here in the Bahamas, when we purchased the Johnson & Johnson in the country, we realized that the uptake was not as aggressive as we thought it would be when Pfizer came on stream. And so for us who have a surplus of Johnson & Johnson now in our arsenal and having great difficulty to convince Bahamians to take Johnson & Johnson, it's very unlikely that we will go ahead and purchase additional Johnson & Johnson at this time.
Earlier this month, Dr. Darville revealed that roughly 20,000 doses of the J&J COVID-19 vaccine are set to expire at the end of this month. Since then, MOH and the Vaccine Committee have come up with ways to have the vaccines administered before they expire, including using them as boosters.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
A helping hand for the Children's Emergency Hostel. The details when our news returns.
'Twas the night before Christmas, but there was no magic here. So Santa called Rev to add holiday cheer. First the TV lit up with faves old and new. Then Eero came alive, spreading joy to mom too. With smiles and kisses on connections so clear, Rev brought good wishes from friends far and near. Then suddenly, Christmas was merry and true. Rev delivers real magic and more Christmas to you.
Welcome back to our news. Mostly sunny conditions over the next few days. Greg is back in the Weather Center.
Thanks again, Christina. Welcome back, everybody, for your second look at weather. We're watching that frontal boundary now pushing into the northwest Bahamas with some showers and thunderstorms associated with that. Very strong low-pressure system dragging across Florida. Very windy conditions expected across the northwest Bahamas, so we're asking you boaters to remain in port tonight through early portions of tomorrow before those winds start to fall off. But we're looking at some showers and thunderstorms as that front boundary continues to pull towards the south and east. Behind that, we expect a nice change in the MR, some cooler temperatures expected for your holiday weekend. Boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight. We have an advisory posted initially, but it will become a caution tomorrow. Southwest to west winds initially ahead of that front. West to northwest tomorrow as that front goes through 15 to 20 knots. Seas 4 to 7 feet over the ocean. High tide will be at 9:18 tonight. For the southeast Bahamas, the southeast to south flow at 15 knots expected tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be initially swishing towards the southwest. 3 to 5 foot seas expected over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Tuesday. Cool conditions expected just before our holiday weekend. Make it a great one. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg. Local businessman Peter Roker making a $500 donation to the Children's Emergency Hospital today in what he says is the resumption of consistent support for the nonprofit.
A couple of years ago, I had the idea of giving on a consistent basis a $500 donation to this organization and also to other organizations in the country. Well, pandemic came along and certain other conditions came along and it was discontinued. I am extremely happy to say that I've resumed that, and it will not be just for 1 month, but it will be on and on and on, where every month I will give $500 to a charitable organization, and in turn, when that comes to an end, I will recycle it.
Roker says he holds the hospital very close to his heart. Officials were grateful for the donation. They say the funds will go toward helping with the upkeep of the facility and with purchasing necessities for the children.
In most instances, when funds are donated to the hospital, it goes towards helping with our facilities, overheads, as well as purchasing food and clothing for the children that live here.
I'm so excited about what Mr. Roker is doing and giving back to our community and so many other persons like himself, because it takes each of us to do our part in order for us to help the next generation.
Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.